and welcome to In the Garden with Flower Hill Farm. I'm your host, Nicole Pitt. On my mind today, I am thinking about the process of planning next year's garden. We are headed into a few months, at least where I live in upstate New York, of very cold temperatures and several feet of snow. So there's not much I can actually do outside, but you know what I can do? I can dream about it and make plans for next year, and so can you. We are seeing the new varieties of flowers and vegetables. Companies are launching, and we are getting so excited. We are making lists, we are planning out our raised beds, and of course, we are manifesting a season of success for 2026. But sometimes, though, the best, most productive gardens are unplanned gardens. Have you ever been at a garden center and you just, last minute grab a plant, put it in your garden, and that ends up being the most successful plant that you grew that year? So if you're not planning out your garden yet, that's okay. You've got plenty of time. I tend to dive deepest into my garden planning in January. That's also when I tend to order baby chicks for the summer, but that's another story. Nicole in January cannot be trusted with farm and garden catalogs. There's been more than one occasion where boxes will just show up at my door and I have no memory of ordering that, and I know I'm not alone. Now, it's not just the veggie gardens we are planning out. Many of us are thinking about landscaped areas. I have a huge project coming here at the Boone Street Nursery. We're creating a botanical garden on about an acre of property. Now, this will be a mixture of trees, perennials, annuals. Now, I need to figure out and do some research about what will work best in my climate. This garden is going to be amazing, and my guest coming up, I'm hoping, will be able to help me out with that. She's actually a professional landscape designer. I'm excited to pick her brain. Now, as we are organizing and dreaming about our future gardens, let's talk about organizing that seed stash. Now, I know a lot of us have drawers and boxes and even those photo holder containers that you can get at the fabric store. I've been using those for a long time, but I learned something from a mentor of mine, and it's really helped me out so that I don't forget to start a certain seed variety. Now, you're familiar with the back of the seed packet. It'll tell you how many weeks before frost to start it, or if it's a direct sow. So what I do is I take all of the seeds that need to be started in a certain week by counting back from my last frost date, and I put all of those seeds together in a Ziploc bag, and I label the week number that it needs to be started. I found that that has helped me out tremendously because sometimes several weeks will go by and I'll find a rogue seed packet, and by that time, it's too late to start it. So that's one of the ways that has helped organize me with my massive seed stash. Also, be careful not to store it in cardboard boxes and in your garage, because that has been a problem for me. One year, it was a couple of years ago, I had a huge shoebox full of beautiful seeds, and I was so excited during the winter. I went in the garage and I opened up the box just to find that mice had gotten in there and quite literally made a feast of all of those seeds. So that was a hard lesson learned. Make sure that wherever you're storing your seeds, it is mouse proof or rodent proof, because they can absolutely destroy your season. Now, I also keep a spreadsheet. This is, just a Google spreadsheet where I lay out all the seed varieties, when to start it, whether or not they need light for germination, whether or not they need to be heated for germination with a heat mat. We'll talk about all of this stuff more in depth in a seed starting episode coming up, but I want to get you guys thinking about planning out your 2026 garden space. Okay. So we're talking about new seed varieties, and I want to introduce something here. We're going to call this the seed of the day. Now, I am so excited about this one because I've been seeing it all over social media. It's a new in the lineup of Botanical Interests this year. It is called the Blue Tea Butterfly Pea Seed. Now, if you've never seen this flower, it is the most vibrant blue. It does form a pea pod, and that pea pod is edible. You would cook it like you would a sugar snap pea or a green bean, but that's not why this plant is prized. You might be surprised that maybe you're not surprised because it's kind of in the name. It's blue tea. Yes, you can take the flowers off the plant, harvest them, and you can make culinary surprises. You can make a beautiful blue tea And fun party trick, if you add some lemon drops to this blue tea, it changes color. It changes to purple. It's really cool. So it has some very rich history. This plant traces back to Southeast Asia, where they've been using it for hundreds of years. Now, it has a mild, earthy, and slightly sweet taste that is often enhanced with other ingredients. Now, it's caffeine-free herbal infusion. It's not a true tea. It's used in a popular rice dish that's called nasi karabu. It is a most beautiful blue rice dish. They actually use the blue flowers to dye the rice blue. Absolutely gorgeous presentation. I think I might try that this summer because this seed is on my list for 2026. And believe it or not, it's actually used in skincare products in some countries because it has an antioxidant in the flower itself. Now, coming up in the garden, we will chat with Yuliya from Y Garden. I am so excited to chat with Yuliya. She is a professional garden design expert, and she is going to be giving me all of the trending topics in the garden for 2026. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Garden with Flower Hill Farm. I'm so excited about today's guests. She's been a friend of mine on the internet for a few years now, and I am so excited that she's joining us here today. It is Yuliya from Y Garden. You guys might be familiar with Yuliya from her Instagram and her YouTube channel. Hi, how are you? Welcome to In the Garden.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
So for those who are not familiar, fill us in about just your background and where you're gardening and what your season is like.
So I garden in northern New Jersey. We recently have been up to zone 7. We have been zone 6 forever. But I still don't quite believe all the zone changes. So I garden pretty much like a zone 6. I like to zone push anyway. So I do have some zone 7 and zone 8 plants. But I've been gardening all of my life, ever since I was age 9, believe it or not. And I started gardening with seeds. And it never stops. It kind of like piled on the houseplants and the perennials and shrubs and bulbs. And then I became a landscape designer because I just wanted to follow my passion, as they say, and opportunity kind of fell in my lap, and I did it, and I could not be happier.
So you have this magical way of creating spaces for people. Now, in your real 9 to 5, that's what you do, right? You help people design. Talk about that process.
Okay, so we only have 20 minutes. I can talk about it for 2 days. So basically, I design properties, both residential and commercial, more so residential. And I love working with families because I can really ask them what they're looking for in their space. And I do interrogate my clients before I start working with them. I have a very extensive 5-page questionnaire because I think people miss that step in designing the garden. They don't quite know what they want. And you need to sit down and examine your life and the life of your family. Do you entertain? Do you like to read outside? Do you like to look at birds? Do you like to grow food? Do you like to start plants from seed? And how many people do you have in your family? Do you have any pets? All of that is super important because if you don't have that structure in your garden, everything else kind of falls apart. Mm-hmm. And I think most people make the mistake. And I know we're all passionate gardeners, so I'm a landscape designer, but I'm also a gardener as well. And I am as obsessed as the guy next door about plants. So, I run into the nursery and I grab the plants that I love, and then I have no idea where to put them. So, this is our, we all do this. But when you have a structure in your garden, you're kind of creating these pockets, and then you have a designated space that solves a problem in your garden as well. Where I live, there are a lot of privacy issues So the houses are closer together. So we have to come up with some sort of beautiful solution, not only to block your neighbors, but also make it pretty. Don't make it like a prison kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation. I'm just trying to block off my neighbors, but it's this double duty kind of landscaping. So I
I love
think
that.
yeah, so there are many steps in garden design before you actually go out and uh, buy those plants or start your plants from seed. You have to examine your outdoor space, your site conditions, what you would like in the garden, your garden style as well, which is super important. I don't know if you want me to dive a little bit into that as well, but yeah, it's a really it's a kind of, it seems like a lot of work, but once you start doing the process, it is so much fun.
Yeah,
So much
everything
fun
kind
to
of
design gardens.
falls into place once you realize, the look or the vibe you're going for. Now, are there any trending plants that you're seeing that are becoming really popular, or not only plants, but trending colors that you're seeing in the garden world?
So the trending colors in the last, I would say, 5 years have been always that pastel-y kind of bluish purple, but also lemonade, like pink lemonade is,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is going to be huge in 2026. But color is its own kind of beast in the garden because, from my research, everyone perceives color differently. I don't know if you remember that dress that was going around in the internet. Some
I
people
do,
saw it
yes.
as yes. Some people said no, it's this, and some people said no, it's absolutely this. And you could have two people standing and looking at the same photo and saying it's different things because we truly perceive color differently. And from my totally unscientific research, I noticed that people who are older like brighter colors because as you age, the cells that are responsible for color perception in your eyes disappear, like with hearing and all the other
That is
things.
so interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of the clients that I have that are as of age, more senior, they almost all of them want those brighter colors, maroons, oranges, reds. And I am starting, I don't know if it's age showing, but I am starting to kind of lean in towards that. I've always been a pink, purple, blue kind of gal. But now I'm like, give me a good maroon, give me a good, like something bright in my garden.
Oh, I love that. So, one of the things that I love to watch on your Instagram is how you plant for pollinators. And I know you have so many beautiful plants in your garden. If someone's looking to plant for pollinators, so they'd love to see the butterflies and the bees in their yard, where should they start?
This is a great question. I am a huge advocate for native plants, for pollinator plants, and it's also a big trend in a garden world right now. We're trying to be good stewards of our land. And I would say if you want to plant, let's say 3 plants that you want to start with,
Hmm.
that would be echinacea, 100%, huge for pollinators, but also songbirds. If you leave those seed heads for the winter, they will eat them, and that will be your natural bird feeder. Another one is Veronicastrum. That's a plant not a lot of people know about. It has these beautiful candle-like flowers. It can get quite tall, about 5 feet tall, but it's more transparent in the garden. So you even can plant it in the front of the border and still can see your beautiful flowers beyond that. That plant is one of my top pollinator plants. Bees just all day long. They visit that plant all day long. Another wonderful pollinator plant that not a lot of people hear about is wild quinine,
Mm.
which is yes, it's actually a great cut flower plant.
Yeah.
Yes, I've done bouquets with that, and it actually lasts for almost 2 weeks. It is beautiful. It dries
Wow.
beautifully as well. Yes, in the garden, it lasts. The blooms last almost 2 months, which is amazing. You want to have those workhorses in your garden, especially if you have a smaller garden and you don't have enough space. You want to have those plants that perform both for you and the wildlife. So something that blooms beautifully and also the pollinators absolutely adore. So I would say wild quinine, echinacea, vernicastrum. There's like hundreds of others that you can plant. Also, don't forget about the grasses. Grasses provide that beautiful texture in the garden, and songbirds love them. And they also go beautifully into the winter interest. So the winter is coming. Nothing is really
Yes.
happening outside. But if you leave those grasses standing, they provide that winter structure.
I was going to ask you about winter interests. So grass for sure. I know that I have some purple fountain grass that I planted along my sidewalk and it's so beautiful right now. It's just that almost like a beigey color, but it's flowing in the wind and it's providing some winter interest. What are some other plants that people can plant so that they're not looking at a sea of dead in the wintertime?
Yes, absolutely. So I know you're in a little bit different zone than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more like where I used to live in northern Russia. It's a tricky spot for evergreens, but any of the evergreens that you can grow, like spruces, firs, junipers, are amazing, and they're also deer resistant. I know you battle with deer.
I do.
Yes. I think I actually found that junipers are becoming more of a substitute to the thuya or arborvitae that a lot of people plant. But if you have the deer pressure that is very high, they chop the bottom branches so high and they look like lollipops.
Yeah.
So juniper is a great substitute for that. But again, for every species of evergreen like this, you have hundreds of cultivars. You can have a juniper that is spreading or a really thin, looks like almost like Italian cypress,
Mm-hmm.
that provides that exclamation point for your winter garden. And it really is showy. But also, if you plant a fir, white fir is one of my most favorite evergreen trees. They have this classic Christmas tree like appearance.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to cut a Christmas tree or bring it in. You can just decorate your beautiful white fir outside, and they're very soft to touch. They're gorgeous all year round. So evergreens, like conifers, a great way to go. And they're also broadleaf evergreens. I
Mm-hmm.
know in your area, they're probably not as successful because you are colder. But for my area or somebody who is south of zone 5, I would say mountain laurels are amazing evergreen for winter structure. As they get older, their bottom branches kind of fall and they create a beautiful architectural plant and they bloom so beautifully in the spring. It's kind of like if you're done with rhododendrons,
Yeah.
try mountain laurel. It's
Okay.
gorgeous.
Amazing. So another thing that I find that is trending right now, because we are entering the holiday season, a lot of people are looking to make their own wreaths at home and they're foraging, they're making beautiful things with foraged stuff. And I remember a couple years ago, you decorated a Christmas tree with some stuff that you foraged from your garden. Talk about some stuff that people can plant that they can use to forage for holiday decor.
Oh my goodness. That's like its whole thing. I am planning my Christmas decorations right now. So the trees that I have in my house, I usually have a few, one artificial one real. And I usually decorate the artificial one with all the stuff from my garden. So it is live. It's artificial, but
Mm-hmm.
it's live. I absolutely love amaranth. Dried amaranth for Christmas decor on your Christmas tree. It's like, don't use the tinsel. You can use
Yes.
amaranth. It's absolutely beautiful. They grow those lawn tassels and they dry really well. They keep color amazingly. Of course, all of the botanical hydrangeas that you can cut from your garden, as well as the big leaf. A lot of them keep their color as well. Another one, I would braid some of my ornamental grasses, which is use gloves.
Mm.
Super important because they can, damage your hands. But you can create your own ornaments and dried alliums.
Ooh.
So yeah, so after my allium season is over and I grow many different kinds like Purple Sensation, Gladiator, Ambassador, those really big, beautiful, bold ones, but also Christophii or Schubertii. They literally look like fireworks and you don't have to do anything with them. I know some people spray them with glitter or like
I've
gold
seen that.
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly think that the natural look is just amazing. So you just stick them in your Christmas tree and boom, you're done.
Wow. I remember your post. It was just so beautiful and it was really inspiring. And I want to plant more for that. I do a lot of straw flower and gomphrena and those very traditional dried flowers, but I'd love to start drying some of my amaranth because oftentimes I grow so much of it that I don't know what to do with it. So those are some great ideas for decoration.
Yes, it's
So
amazing. And
yeah.
another thing that I came into my mind as you were saying that I actually hung about 20 or 25 allium um, seed heads off our ceiling right here for
Oh,
Christmas. And it
oh
was
wow.
magical. It was magical. Everybody who was visiting, they're like, what in the world? But yeah, it's as the heat comes on in the house, the warm air kind of moves them around. So you have this magical effect of moving
I love it.
allium seed heads. Yeah.
Hmm. And do they kind of look like beautiful snowflakes or just like spheres?
Yes.
Yeah, they give that
Yes.
snowflake effect. Cool. Okay, so we're going into the months of winter, and I know your winter is a little bit different than my winter, but you still get a decent winter season. So how do you go about planning for your next season? Are you making lists, or do you have like a long list of seeds that you'd like to order, or do you plan things out, or are you more like spur of the moment? I know you're not spur of the moment. You have some spur of the moment. I know you have some, but you like to plan things out. Talk about your process of seed starting and what your seed starting space looks like.
I like just asking me that question. You're getting me so excited. I
I
can't.
know.
So I actually cleared out my seed starting station downstairs a couple of days ago. I am ready. You would not believe it. I'm actually ready to start seeds next week. Yes, I'm starting some Lysianthus. I'm going to do some winter sowing. But as for the seed starting, I absolutely have my spreadsheet and I actually gather ideas all throughout the season. So starting this spring and all summer, I see what other people are growing that I would love to have in my garden. I visit a lot of other gardens, both
Hmm.
private and public. I make little notes, I take photos, and then all of that goes into a wish list. And then when I go to online or I start receiving those wonderful seed catalogs, I'm ready. I have my list. I generally plan by a color palette. I have different areas in my garden with more like pastel. But then, as I mentioned, as I get older, I do love more of the brighter colors. So I'm looking to kind of combine those as well together because a lot of times when you combine them in one bed, it kind of looks haphazard. So
Hmm.
you want to have that nice, harmonious, balanced look, but absolutely ready. And of course, I have a lot of seeds left over from the previous
Yeah.
season. I kind of have to go over it, and it's like a nice activity in a cold winter day. And then starting January, I am starting dichondra. I'm starting stock. Stock is my latest love. I
I
kind
love
of
it
like.
so much.
I know you do. I watched your videos and I learned so much. I think stock is it's a little tricky, but once you crack the code,
Yeah.
it's actually not that hard to grow. Yes, they have a longer season until they bloom, but I think they're so worth it. Just
Hmm. Just the scent alone. I have been alone in a car with buckets of stock, and it was probably one of the best drives of my life. It's so intoxicating. It's so delicious. So, if those of you who are not familiar, stock is a beautiful, like one stem, almost looks like a snapdragon, but the scent that it gives off is just spectacular. And it's one of the best cut flowers, and it's a cool flower. So, it's something that you can start early in your garden. So do you tend to soil block? Do you use plug trays? How do you start your seeds? Or you do a combination of everything?
I do combination of everything. Sometimes I like to experiment, and I like that's one of the reasons why I love gardening so much is because every year gives you that chance to experiment and try and see
Yeah.
maybe this works better than this. So for Lysianthus, for example, last year I tried soil blocking, I tried the seed trays, I tried just a regular salad, plastic
Yep.
container and just throw them in there. And I mean, they all pretty much perform the same way. It's just the question is whether you want to save on plastic, which we're all trying to
Yep.
do. And I definitely see that the soil blocks are easier to plant for sure. You just pop those little babies in the ground and you don't have to, struggle with the cells and get them out of there. But seed starting is so magical to me. And that's how I started as a child. My parents got a country house at some point, and while they were clearing out the weeds, my dad gave me a little space, 3 by 3, and gave me a seed packet of China asters, which again,
Oh.
it's not a plant that a lot of people grow here. I don't know why. It's incredibly easy. It is a very long lasting cut flower, as
Uh-huh.
you probably know. It lasts forever in the garden as well. So I started those seeds, and a week later, I saw the little life. And for a 9-year-old, it's like, wait, I threw dust in the ground and then I have life. And then they bloomed a couple of months later. It was just, I was hooked. Like it was no way back.
It's one
And
of
then
the most amazing experiences, and you want to get that feeling all the time. So you just want to start more seeds and more seeds, and just to see what you can grow, because it is a magical experience.
absolutely, yeah. But yes, the seed starting station is ready. I got my lights all checked.
Good. Yes.
I've cleaned up. I've cleaned up my trays. I've cleaned up my cells, and going, to order those seeds very soon.
I know it's on the list of things to do. I still have to clean out my seed room fully. It's just a little things I have to move around. I do have some ranunculus sprouting down there right now that I need to move out into my high tunnel. But I need to give it a good vacuum from the year before. I'm also trying something new this year. I ordered in some heirloom mum cuttings. So I'm going to try to create some mother plants in my basement so
Mhm.
that I can take cuttings from. So I want it to be clean, and I want it to be free of any sort of potential for disease before I bring my mum plants down there. So I have a lot of work to do over the next week or
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But right now is the time to do it. You're
Yeah.
probably it's pretty cold where you
Yes,
are.
it is.
Yes.
It was 28 this
Yeah.
morning. Ugh, it's
Yeah.
just going to get colder.
I call it the winter gardening season. It just never stops, and I don't want it to stop. I know there are some people who like to take a break in the winter. I would be on the couch like totally depressed if I couldn't garden in the winter.
And this is why we're friends. Okay, I have one more question to pick your brain with before we say goodbye today. And as you know, I've talked with you a little bit about this, but we were the recipient of a grant to build a botanical garden here at my retail location. We want to build this winding sidewalk around my main greenhouse, and we want to make it the most beautiful botanical garden that Zone 4 in upstate New York can bring. There are a lot of restrictions with our zone and the cold temperatures that we do have here, but what do you suggest that I start with? Because the whole process is so overwhelming to me, and I know that you have that professional eye. What should I start with? Should I start with hardscapes? Should I start with trees? Like, what should I do?
Okay, so the first thing I actually would start with is the history of the site.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times the history of the site will direct you where to go as for the design, because you want it to be meaningful.
Yes.
What are you trying to accomplish? Is there like, for example, I'm just making this up. Is there some sort of glass blowing factory or something like that, that is like the first glass bowl was made, and then you incorporate some glass structures in your garden, so you kind of bring in elements that are meaningful for the site. And then you maybe incorporate some of the design ideas in those winding paths. Are they going to be a circle? Are they going to be an S shape? Are they going to be very rectilinear? So all of those design decisions, like architectural and meaningful design decisions, go into creating an art. You're really creating an art around the site. And then once you get that structure in place, I would highly recommend just researching a lot of native plants, because they
Hmm.
are so much easier. Botanical gardens, unless you have a
A
crew that is
staff,
going
yeah.
exactly, unless you're going to take care of it, I would definitely just go with something that is indigenous to your area. First of all, it will bring a sense of space
Hmm.
to this botanical garden that you're trying to create, which is, by the way, I'm like, you're a powerhouse. I'm so impressed with everything
Thank you.
that you are trying to do. So yes, having a place that is bringing the history of your town, bringing the history of your site, history of your family, of what you're trying to do, is the first step in
That is
design.
absolutely beautiful and totally aligns with what I've been trying to do here, because this place that I purchased is historic. It was built in
Mm,
1894, and we're trying to, maintain the historical integrity of the space, but bringing it up to speed with, because I can't grow with holes in the wall. So
yeah.
we're trying to make repairs while we can, but it has been a giant adventure. And I think incorporating the history of my little village along
Hmm.
with my personal history, like with things that remind me of my grandfather and my family, I think that's going to make the most beautiful botanical garden. And I am going to pick your brain so much more after we're off
Anytime.
after we're offline.
Anytime. I'm here for it.
Oh, thank you so
Anytime.
much. It has been so nice chatting with you today. It's been too long since we've chatted. We should chat. We should
Yes.
schedule monthly chats just because we need to catch up.
Absolutely.
But thank you
Whether
so
in
much.
public or in person, I'm
I know.
ready.
We should go to a garden show together. Let's do that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's a good way to fill time in the winter as well. So thank you so much. Before we leave, tell people where they can find you so they can follow your journey.
You can find me on Instagram. My handle is Why Do You Garden. You can find me on YouTube. My handle is also Why Do You Garden, but my channel name is Why Garden.
Yes.
And thank you so much for having me today. This was so much fun.
Anytime. I loved it. All right. We'll have you back soon.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Now it's time for my favorite segment of the show. It's called Sow and Tell. Now, this is where we feature your stories. We want to hear from you. Tell us what inspires you in the garden. Send me your audio or video clips to Nicole at botanicalinterests.com. Keep them about 30, 45 seconds. Tell me your name, where you live, and what zone you are growing in. And I'd love to share your stories here on In the Garden. Today, though, I'm going to tell you about one of my garden inspiration stories, and there are many of them. So this is just one of them. Now, in episode 1, I shared with you guys that my love of growing vegetables really was born from my grandparents' backyard and the raised beds that we grew just 15 feet out their back door. That was so magical and wonderful to play around with when I was a kid. Today, though, I'm going to talk about what inspires me for flowers. Now, this takes me way back to when I was probably 9 or 10 years old. I was hanging out in the tree line at the house where I currently live. I was sitting on a giant rock. I was probably reading an R.L. Stein book or Babysitter's Club or something like that. And I was just sipping my lemonade, drinking, reading on the rock, those lazy summer days. And next to me, there were a few flowers blooming, and they're what is called Dame's Rocket. In some places, it's considered invasive. Here in upstate New York, it really doesn't get the chance to be invasive. And it is a beautiful flower that ranges in colors from white to pale lavender. And they were just growing right next to me in the shade of the tree line. And something caught my eye one morning. And I swear I thought it was a fairy. It had wings like a hummingbird, but a body that was kind of furry. And I ran inside to tell my parents. I was convinced that I saw a fairy. It was magic. And the way that it danced and hovered from each pale lavender bloom was pure magic. So I was pretty adamant that I saw a fairy, and I was mesmerized by its wings, how close I could get to it. And this is exactly the moment when I discovered that nature was simply the best thing in the world, and I wanted to be outdoors all the time. Now, it wasn't until I was in the garden 20 years later when I saw this mythical creature again. It was on a butterfly bush I had planted the year before. This time I ran, I grabbed my camera, I took some pictures, and then I did some research. And I found out that my fairy was just a hummingbird moth, or a hawk moth, as they're known. Well, little did I know that this magical fairy creature was actually quite destructive in the garden. But honestly, I didn't care. It was absolutely beautiful, and the beauty of that creature outweighed the potential damage, and it still does today. Now, fast forward 22 years, and I was presented with the manifested opportunity to buy back my childhood home, the home where I fell in love with flowers, my childhood home that my father built from the ground up. And when we did, I was drawn back to those Dame's Rocket and that feeling of discovering that magical, mythical creature that was a common hummingbird moth, but to my child's eye, it was pure magic. And I knew, looking out over the 20-acre property with the rolling hills and the fields of grass, that grass needed to be replaced with flowers. And that is what inspired me to start growing cut flowers on such a large scale. And in fact, the logo for my business, if you're watching this on the Botanical Interests YouTube channel, I'm wearing my sweatshirt, you can see all these purple flowers at the top of my logo. That is the Dame's Rocket. And that was my inspiration for Flower Hill Farm. Okay, so thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I want to hear your garden inspiration stories, so don't forget to send them to me. It's Nicole@botanicalinterests.com. And also, follow us on all of the social media channels. We have the Botanical Interests over on Instagram, TikTok, and you can follow my adventures with flowering at Flower Hill Farm on all of the socials as well. Now, don't forget, all of the seeds that we're talking about are available at botanicalinterests.com, and you get an extra 5% off with using the code in the garden. You could also check in with your local garden centers to see if they carry the Botanical Interest line like we do here on Boone Street. Want to see what we're talking about? Check out Botanical Interests on YouTube, and this podcast is in video form there. You'll check it out. You can see some garden tips, ideas, behind the scenes fun. All of the links in this episode are in the description. Thanks for hanging out with me today. We will see you next time in the garden.